Hi everyone, Doug here. Welcome back to yet another board game channel and yet another playthrough of Eldritch Horror. That's right, I'm giving this one a go again. There's a lot of great old ones to get through. I'm going to try to do all of them, losing the vast amount of the time, but so be it. So, yes, as you can see, I have already done all the setup, randomly picked a great old one and investigators and everything. So you don't have to see me actually do all the choosing. However, we will go over everything that we're going to have to deal with. And we'll do it one bit at a time, starting with the prelude. Yes, first thing to do in the setup, before even step one, it's kind of step zero, is chose a random prelude card, taking out the ones that I've already done, which means we ended up with the King in Yellow. 116 die in theater fire. You frown at the headline. The photograph shows the smoldering remains of the once popular playhouse. You ignore the feeling in your gut and scan the article, hoping against hope that it's not what you think. No mention. Good. To your dismay, your relief is cut short. There, in the picture, on a piece of wood that escaped the fire, the yellow sign. So, what we had to do with this was, before building the Mythos deck, we had to go through and put aside the King in Yellow Rumour card. Turned out, after resolving setup, if Hastur is the ancient one, it turns out he was not. Let's see who it is shortly. Well, you already know because you've seen the title of the video. So, because Hastur is not the ancient one, we had to place the King in Yellow Rumour Mythos card in play with 2 Eldritch tokens on it. So we're going to have a look at that. Yes, here it is. The King in Yellow. Which meant I got to spawn an extra clue token. Beyond the initial 2 that happens at the end of setup. This one, well, we'll see where this one is shortly. We also had to put an encounter token in London. And yes, this would normally, come on, focus you. Yes, it was normally come into being with just a single Eldritch token on it, but as indicated by the Prelude card, we're going to be putting 2. Despite the unexplained deaths and the surrounding turmoil, the notorious play has opened. Many praise the show for radically changing their lives. Others leave the theater feeling nauseous, if they leave at all. The King in Yellow, ongoing rumor. As an encounter, an investigator on London may attempt to put a stop to the vile performance by doing an influence -1 test. If they pass, they may spend clues equal to the investigators. That's 4 in this case to solve this rumor. So we're starting off with a tough one. And on a reckoning effect, investigators as a group lose sanity equal to the number of Eldritch tokens on this card, unless the lead investigator gains a blight condition. If the lead investigator does not gain the condition, place another Eldritch token on the card. So we're going to take sanity hits on that. Ugh. We'll just put that there for the time being. One last thing to note on the Prelude card is then, at the end of everything, each investigator may spend 1 sanity to gain 1 clue. A couple of them did. We will just have a look at them when we look at our investigators. Right, speaking of investigators, let's have a look at who we ended up with. First up, we have Vincent Lee, the Doctor. As you can see, as an action, make sure that's focused, yes. You or another investigator on your space may discard one injury or illness condition and or perform a rest action. So a rest on top of that. You could even combine that with yet another rest action, because this is separate from that. When you or another investigator on your space performs a rest action, that investigator may recover one additional health. So that could be good. Although we'd like to recover sanity more, I think. I will find the answers, even if it kills me. He's got 6 health, 6 sanity, although he does only have 5, because I chose to take the sanity hit so that he'll have a clue. Because 6 is pretty good. There are, I won't go over all his stats in detail. There we go. So he will be starting in Bombay, Space 17. He's we'll read his story before we take a look at his items. After the 3rd or 4th mutilated body showed up during his time at St. Mary's Hospital in Arkham, Vincent Lee began to suspect this was no simple case of wild animal attacks. It never is. When a young man died screaming in his sleep from a burst heart, Vincent knew for a fact that dark times were ahead. Taking a leave of absence from his position at the hospital, he has set out to ease the suffering of those afflicted by the spreading chaos, hoping that the trail of bodies will lead him to the answers he craves. It apparently brought him to the shores of India. Now, he's going to start with a bandages asset and a composed condition. So here they are, the bandages. Item, you may discard this card to prevent an investigator on your space from losing up to 2 health. It's also composed. It's a talent and a boon. When resolving any test, if you do not roll any 1s, you may re-roll all of your dice. But when you do fail a test condition, we will be flipping the card. Who knows what that's going to lead to. Second up, you've got Silas Marsh, the Sailor. As an action, make sure that's focusing, yes. Move 1 space along a ship path, then perform 1 additional action so you can get around by sea rather quickly as Silas. If you're on a sea space, investigators on your space roll 1 additional die when resolving tests. Must remember that. Leave your fears on the docks, lads. I'll not carry that cargo. The wind is up. Full sail. All right. He's got 8 health, 4 sanity. Quick look at his stats there. Then he starts in Sydney, Australia. And his story. Even as a child in Innsmouth, Silas had a special connection to the sea. He is an able and well-reasoned man on land, but on the ocean he possesses a singular strength and wit. It's earned him a sterling reputation in every port across the globe, particularly in Sydney, where Silas set ashore last night. This morning, the smell of the briny air carries dread as well as joy. There is something in his past, something in Innsmouth, that he knows someday will catch up to him. And he starts with just a single possession. He gets the fishing net. See, you may reroll 1 die when resolving a strength test during a combat encounter, and we get to reduce the damage of monsters you encounter by 1 to a minimum of 1. Can't stop it completely. Up next, we have George Barnaby, the Lawyer. As an action, he can test influence for each success. Another investigator on your space, or any of your choice on any space, May discard a debt condition or a detained condition. That could be handy. And once per round, you may spend 1 focus to add 1 to the result of 1 die when resolving a test, rather than a reroll. Just move it up by 1, so we can turn a 4, not a success, into a 5 success. I believe in a higher law. I believe in true justice. 4 health, 8 sanity. Because he had such huge sanity, I went ahead and spent 1, so he was only at 7. So he also has a clue. There are his stats. He will be starting in urban India. He's actually starting in the same space as Vincent Lee, our doctor. As a lawyer, George had a long career holding those who deal in human suffering accountable to the law. Recently, George retired and bought a boat to travel the world with his beloved wife Maria, but everything changed one morning in Bombay. George left the boat to get breakfast. On his way back, he passed Westerners dressed in black suits, all wearing silver rings that bore the image of a skull. Inside the boat, he found Maria's body, surrounded by occult symbols. His sole reason for living now is the pursuit of justice for Maria. Never kill the spouse. That just causes revenge, and it'll always come back and bite you. He's going to start with a couple of assets. Let's see, he has investment, which is a task. On reckoning, your investment is paid off. You may discard this card to gain a funding condition. All money. And as a trinket, he's got a pocket watch. Ooh, there we are, pocket watch, which means he cannot become delayed unless he chooses to. So that's nice. Being delayed is usually a pain. And finally, our 4th. No, it's not John Constantine, even though it kind of looks like him. It's Mark Harrigan, the soldier. As an action, you and 1 monster on your space each lose 1 health. So he can guarantee pain for a monster, but he has to take a hit as well. He can also you cannot become delayed or gain a detained condition unless you choose to. I'm walking out that door and I'm taking this book. Anyone who wants to stop me is welcome to try. He's got 8 health and 4 sanity. Quick look at the stats. He will be starting in Northern Europe. His story: during the war, Mark witnessed horrors he could not explain, and he wrote of what he saw in letters to his beloved wife Sophie. Oh dear, we're going to lose another spouse. When Mark returned home, he discovered that Sophie was no longer human. It never goes well for the spouse. One of the beasts that Mark had seen overseas had taken over her body, killing her in the process. Afterward, Mark's thirst for vengeance led him to Helsinki, where some of these creatures had posed as German soldiers during the Great War. Well, if we get Mark and George together, they've got a lot in common, don't they? He's going to start with 2 assets. Starting with his trusty 38 revolver, item weapon, gain +2 strength during combat encounters. And in a pinch, he can use some kerosene. Item, you may discard this card to gain +5 strength during a combat encounter. So that is what is up with all 4 of our heroes. Now, going to move on and learn a little bit more about our Ancient One. Yes, as you've all seen by now, because of the title of the episode, our great old one is Nephren-Ka, the Dark Pharaoh. Evil stirs beneath the sands of Egypt as the Brotherhood of the Beast, a cult with mysterious loyalties, searches for the final resting place of the Dark Pharaoh, Nephren-Ka, seeking to fulfill the prophecy of his resurrection. As you can see, that means, yes, we've had to set up the Egypt sideboard. It's my first time playing with one of the sideboards, so I hope I know what I'm doing. Yes, important thing about the sideboard. Oh yes, when I set up the sideboard, well, it meant we had Egypt-based clues and gates added to our supplies. This is where the clue spawned from the Rumour. It actually spawned in Cairo. And also had to put aside 3 monsters. I guess they could show up in specific encounters. We got a sand dweller, a mummy, and a spawn of Sebak. Right, let's see what there is to learn about Nephren-Ka. Well, he starts, we got a doom of 12, which is not bad. That's nice and high. Starting with that Rumour might be a little tricky. We can see what happens when cultists are drawn. They've only got 1 toughness. Do a will check to prevent one sanity damage. And instead of fighting them physically, you fight them with a lore, -1, to prevent 1 physical damage. Also, they do have a reckoning effect. Any investigator on this space or an adjacent space loses 1 health or 1 sanity. At least we get to choose. Alright, as the setup points out, put aside all of his cards and set up the Egypt board. Done. Mythos deck. Okay, as you can see, this means, in the first 4 turns, we're going to get hammered with 2 more Rumours, which is unfortunate because our prelude gave us that nasty Rumour to deal with. Alright, so Nephren-Ka has a reckoning effect. Each investigator may move 1 space toward the bent pyramid, which is over here. So everybody's going to get sucked towards Egypt. Each investigator that did not move loses a sanity. The standard, when 3 mysteries have been solved, investigators win the game. And also standard, when Nephren-Ka awakes, flip this sheet and resolve the Nephren-Ka awakens effect on the back. Alright, that's all the big things to cover. Now we just got to go over a few other the final starting effects, the final bit of board setup, and we'll have a quick look at those. Alright, so we have, of course, set the Doom token to space 12, and we've chosen 4 cards to go into the reserve. Let's see what's available for purchase. We have a Spirit Dagger. Item, weapon magical, gain +1 sanity, +1 will, and +2 strength during combat encounters. And it costs 2. Also for 2, the 45 automatics, item weapon, gain +3 strength during combat encounters. For 4, the Willful Aristocrat. He is an ally. While he's with you, you gain 1 influence and 1 will, and you may re-roll 1 die when resolving a test for either of those stats. So that would be nice. And finally, we got the Witch Doctor. Investigators on your space may recover 1 additional health or discard a cursed condition when performing a rest action. We can get rid of curses with him. That would be nice. Alright, other things that we have had to set up. We have spawned a single gate. It's way over on the Egypt sideboard, as you probably saw, in Cairo, with our clue, naturally. And coming out of the gate in Cairo was a Chocho. There's the stats, and if you defeat this monster during a combat encounter, gain one random item asset from the deck. So it could be worth killing just for that. The active expedition is in the Amazon, and we spawned a couple of clues. One over here in Space 6 in North America, and one here in the middle of the ocean. Space 18. So that just leaves us with one more bit of business. What are we trying to accomplish? That's right, our first mystery. Okay. Worshippers of a forsaken pharaoh. The Church of Starry Wisdom was founded upon the premise of unlocking the mysteries of the shining trapezohedron. Now they aim to bring about the return of Nephren-Ka, the Dark Pharaoh. After an investigator resolves a location encounter on the Egypt sideboard, he may spend one clue to track down the followers of the Dark Pharaoh. If he spends the clue, the cultist monster ambushes him. If he defeats it, place one Eldritch token on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are Eldritch tokens on this card equal to 4, investigators solve this mystery. So, this could be hard because we've got a Rumour here we need to get rid of, and to do it we need to spend 4 clues. We'll have 2 Rumours coming within the first 4 turns, which I'm sure will make things exponentially more difficult. And to solve our mystery, we also need to hoover up a bunch of clues so that we can do combat, so that we can add tokens to the card. We need to do that 4 times. I'm already a little bit worried. But we'll see how lucky we get or don't get. So we'll leave it at that for this introductory episode. Thanks everyone for watching. Listening to me natter on. Hope you'll join me next time when I finally start. We're just going to start going into it. Yeah, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscriptions. Thanks for liking the videos, both on YouTube and at Board Game Geek. It's very much appreciated. And we will see you next time when we properly start yet another playthrough of Eldritch Horror. See you then.